We all come to pray, going back for warriors, keeping the whispers away. In suits and in skirts, we're the rebels you say, talking about life and dreaming of a different day. On the back row we stay, in the back we don't sway, just let the sermon flow. We're on the back row.
It's time for another episode, but you know what? It's a crossover episode. It is a This Week in Mormons.
That's right. Just stop there, Richie.
No
need to explain what else this is.
And also the Cultural Hall. It's me,
All right.
buddy Kurt Frankum.
Hey, Richie.
Or Kurt Frankum and his buddy Richie, depending on how this introduction goes, I guess. How are you?
That's right. I always let you, lead the way,
Well, I mean, as someone who has been doing this longer than you, even though...
Yes.
Well, because in 2012, it was just a hobby blog. And then, in 2016, that's when things really took off.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. When was the first time you spoke to a mass audience on a radio wave, Richie?
2001 was the first year that I ever did
at SUU?
Uh-huh. Southern Utah University.
Nice.
It was I can't remember. I remember the co-host because I've had her as a guest of the Cultural Hall, but it was like dating tips with Richie T and Ashley D, and it was Tuesday and Thursday nights on the college radio station.
So that was the first segment, was like a talking dating?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And then this was the thing, since you asked, I wasn't going to go here, but here we are.
That's right.
The way that it stuck is we were planning out our next night show, because down at Southern Utah University, when you get into the radio class, you automatically get a radio show. They put you on the airwaves no matter what, so you get a lot of this on the radio down there.
Nice.
This is Puddle of Mud. This different, just terrible.
Some people just don't got it like you, Richie.
Yeah. So we were sitting and we had done the Tuesday night show, and we were planning out the Thursday night show, and we're sitting at the subway there on 200 North, and we hear the people in the booth, like 2 booths away, talking about what we had talked about on the show the night before. And I was like, this is cool.
First flavor of fame right there.
And so then there it was. I was like, I'm hooked. Let's go. Go. So that's
awesome.
Great. Yeah.
Love it.
Radio kids, you used to, when in your car, instead of podcasts or books,
break it down, Richie.
Turn a knob, and you could reset your preset. See, there are little preset buttons on your radio. You would want to get people to have that be your radio station. So, Curtis, I'm sorry that we're not meeting for the recording of this at an IHOP in Bountiful.
I know, right?
Follow the Cultural Hall if they don't.
Wasn't that an awesome story?
Yeah. Kurt, speaking of a thing, somebody gave him money to give to me, and I realize I owe you a cut of that. So
that's right.
I'll buy the ice cream when we get together.
Yeah. We need another excuse to get together. And at future firesides I may do, if people walk up to me with maybe a duffel bag of cash or a briefcase that is secured to their wrist with cash and say, I need you to get this to Richie, I'm going to be a little more skeptical. But I'm happy to be the middleman of your drug deals.
It wasn't a drug deal. It was an appreciation
for the record.
Deal. Yeah, for the record. But I actually would like this to be a hilarious thing. So I'm going to throw this out into the ethos. Even if it's $1, if you ever go to see Kurt speak and you listen to this, I want you to give him money and tell him to give it to me. Even if it's just $1. Nice. He's got to be accountable for it. Kurt is an honest enough of a person. He'll make sure that it gets to me eventually, but I'd love to burden Kurt with having to give me money.
And we always have to meet at like a breakfast restaurant parking lot.
Yes.
To make the exchange.
Not for breakfast and in the middle of the night with your family.
If I had more time and didn't have my family with me, I would have definitely walked into IHOP and got a stack of pancakes.
Sure. You like a stack?
I guess. I mean, IHOP is one of those where it's not you don't go there for your health. That's for sure.
No. You don't, and you don't come away feeling great.
I know. It's a feeling uplifted. Decision. Yeah. Let me ask you, how's DJ life these?
Oh, come on now.
You crazy busy? We're heading into wedding season here.
End of season. People don't do anything in November because you're getting ready for your holiday parties.
Okay.
So once you kind of get through Halloween, you get a couple of kids that are getting married, in the November so that they can honeymoon over like the Thanksgiving break, or like they can do it and people will come into town for Thanksgiving and they sort of lump those things together, but not too often.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit dead. Wife and I are road tripping. We're
Well,
gonna,
where are you going?
well, we don't know. Isn't this the best part?
You'll just flip a coin and say, we're heading west.
Literally,
Where you
that's
go?
what we're
Yeah.
doing. Yep. Well, so here's what we know we're doing. We're gonna go up to Washington for a hot minute, and then we don't know which way we're coming back, or how long it will take, or where we're gonna go. We're just gonna just be gone.
Until you get to Washington, you're like, well, this is good enough. We'll
Yeah, we
just
could
hang out
stay
here.
there. We could
I
just
like
stay
this
there.
Airbnb or
Yeah.
whatever.
No, we're staying at my mom's house up in
Oh, of
Washington.
course.
Yeah, she
Of
won't be
course.
there. That's the best part.
Ooh,
Yeah, never
nice.
stayed there without her being there.
Nice. Well,
Um, this episode, because we're doing news, everybody.
that's right. It's This Week in Mormons, where we talk about all things in the Mormon culture.
It is
And
articles of news where we talk of several articles of news. And you might be like, hey, in This Week in Mormons, several of the hosts call them articles of news. That's because they listen but don't cite.
I want you to know that
Articles of
they
news.
have been reprimanded. Okay, they've been talked to, and they send their apologies.
No, it's
and
fine.
ask that your lawyers stop calling. That would be
Yes,
great.
please, please. I just always think it's funny. Or they're like, I saw this somewhere, and I'm like, I know where you saw this. I'm very because of the tone of which you're taking it. But actually, this is a fairly serious episode of Articles of News based on a couple of the stories that I want to get into with you. So I just before we get and take, because in the cultural hall we take a break and we ring a bell.
Right.
Like how you used to have the old church bell ringers. Quick question about that. Are the bells still in church?
I
We
think
don't
so.
ring them, but are they still there? I remember a button. I don't think we have the
I
button
don't know.
anymore.
There's a guy in my ward who's like a general contractor. I don't know what they call him. He's over all the building a church. He's running the crew. I should ask him. Like, you guys wire that still? Is
Yeah,
it
would you
wireless
mind?
now?
Would you
Yeah,
mind?
I will
It's not
report back.
wireless. We don't run the bell anymore. You never ring the bell.
I know you don't, do you?
And a certain
But
generation of the church that's listening to this doesn't even know what we're talking about. It was Pavlovian, and you wanted the calling of bell ringer because all you had to do was be tall enough to reach the bell and or be able to get a stepping stool to get to it. And then when class
Yeah.
would be over, because people would go over.
But I don't know why. I mean, 2-hour church wouldn't ruin it, because I would still appreciate a good 5-minute warning at the end of the second hour. Right?
Sure, but we phased out the bell. I don't know why. If anyone knows more about the bell history of the church,
The beginning of my faith crisis. What's happening?
it's not a faith crisis. You're just questioning. Now,
Okay.
we need to this because in a recent episode, we talked about the Y and about how the Y of BYU looks like the Y of Yale. And I said, hey, is this just us trying to be prestigious? We're the Yale of the West. Are we trying to look like, the Y like Yale? Because I almost went up to a guy at the gym the other day who had a Yale hat on and wanted to be like, yeah, go Cougs. How about that 7-0 season? Isn't that amazing? And I don't know if that was the actual case. And so I postulated, hey, is this the reason why we are the Y as we wanted to be? And that's not it. You know why it's called the Y?
Why is it called the Y, Richie?
Do you know why?
You're asking me why?
Yeah, do you know why?
Well, I just plugged this into AI, and it says BYU uses the Y as its primary symbol for several historical and practical reasons.
Go on.
I don't know where we're going here. The Y on Y Mount has been a symbol of Brigham Young University since 1906. I think Yale was established before. Anyways,
Correct.
Originally, there were plans to create the full BYU initials on the mountainside, but after completing the Y, students were lazy and quit. No, I'm just kidding. Students found the task too arduous and
Yeah.
abandoned. Oh, there we have it.
Yeah, it was too lazy. You made the
Yeah.
joke, but that's 100% what it was.
So the Y on the mountain is highly visible from Utah Valley. It's become national organized symbol. Yeah, I get that it's on the mountain, but why is it on the mountain? So the Y has become an integral part of BYU's tradition and culture. Students often hike to the Y. Okay, I get it. Chat GPT. Unique identity. While many universities use their initials in their branding, BYU use of just the Y set it apart from Yale. It becomes so synonymous with the university that BYU is often referred to as simply the Y. I think,
Yep.
do people refer to Yale as the Y? I don't know.
No, they say Yale.
Yeah.
With a little bit of pretense. So I'll take you one step further, and there will be a link to a video in our show notes. But the year before they did the Y on the Mountain, the class of like 06 at BYU, or 07, they went up the mountain and they put 07 up on the mountain and were like, yeah. And then the class of 08 was like, screw you guys, we're doing it. And so they went up and did something else. And so that's how they decided to put
Like
the
it
Y.
was as big as the Y?
I don't know if it
06?
was as big, but it was visible from down in the
Oh, wow.
valley.
Wow.
And so they were like, we can't have this. So they made it a Y. And they used to do, this is your history lesson for this episode. They used to do like bucket brigades of lime wash up Y Mountain
Yeah.
to be able to do this thing. And now it's all done by like helicopter, and they've made it a more
They just
permanent
write the check
feature.
and pay the guys.
Yeah.
And when you get up there, I mean, it's a significant letter.
Yeah, it's
Right.
I mean bigger than a football field is the video that you'll watch if you watch the show notes.
Wow.
And it's where
There
they
you have
got the idea of Y Day, the service day on BYU's campus, because they started to get too many people. They said, hey, this is the day that we do that. And then they had a certain group of people that would do the Y on the Mountain, and then you would do service projects in Provo and around BYU's campus. And then it became Y Day, the Y Day of service. And that's where it comes from.
I've never heard of Y Day, and
Yeah.
that's because I've never attended BYU, maybe.
Yeah, because
but
they wouldn't get you in.
yeah, I was rejected 3 times, quite
Yeah,
literally.
no, I
There's
know,
another
I know.
historic fact.
Yeah.
3 times.
As a quick aside, because you've mentioned Faith Crisis already one time, and people that are watching this video on YouTube know that you have a beard. You know that there are enough people that are still in that phase of, if you have a beard, you can't be in leadership, that you're shooting yourself in the foot as you try and aspire
my
to those
campaign
callings. Yeah, your
falling apart.
bishop campaigning is not going to work with that beard, although
Hey.
handsome.
Well, thank you. I keep getting compliments on it, so I'm just
It's
rolling
good-
with it.
It's good
okay?
looking.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Yeah.
You know, I can grow a good beard.
Yeah.
And I figure
And sometimes
why
you look
waste
real
that
bad.
talent?
Sometimes you look real bad, but not right now. Not right now.
Right. And hey, but I am wearing the uniform of the priesthood,
Yeah.
white shirt,
Sure.
and just missing the tie and
Yeah.
the suit coat. And,
Your beard comes in a way that is nice because it's got a little bit of salt, but it's not completely salt.
It's getting
It
there.
shows maturity, and it's well groomed. So, like, if I was going to have a priesthood leader that had a beard, which
This would be
wouldn't
it.
happen because Satan owns facial hair, it would be that beard. that
Not
you-
out of control like Lorenzo Snow's
Oh my
beard. I mean,
gosh!
can you believe that guy?
Give me a minute. That guy.
That guy. Hey, speaking of leadership, can I mention that there's 9 new Sunday
No,
school
no,
general-
we can't do that yet because we have to take a break, and then when we come back in the second half,
Okay,
we'll do
I'm
actual
sorry. I
articles
was
of
I
news.
was in This Week in Mormons mode. Now I'm in the Cultural Hall mode. But okay, let's do this.
BestDJinUtah.com is the website. That is where you go if you would like me to come and DJ your event. Now, will I do a family reunion where you all wear the same t-shirts? You bet I will. Will I travel to wherever you're at? Uh-huh. Am I reasonable as far as what I cost? Yes. Yes. Do I bring a good time? Yeah, all the things. Listen, Best DJ in Utah, it's my company. It's a thing I do that allows me to be able to have the time to do the Cultural Hall. So if someone's getting married, you think, man, they need a great DJ. You're throwing a party, whether it's a 50th or 60th or 40th or 20th or whatever the party is. I've done them all and would love to be able to do that. An anniversary party, certainly done those. I did a baptism in 2023. Yeah, we did a big dance party at a baptism. Spoiler, not a Mormon baptism, but it was fun nonetheless. BestDJinUtah.com is a website. I will get back to you within 24 hours with a quote. Come on now. BestDJinUtah.com.
Imagine running a small business today. It's challenging. Imaging and internet presence is an absolute must. Even with that, you're still a small star in a bright cyber universe. Now, imagine you have someone who understands how to get your site designed for your talents and then easily searched by potential clients. Imagine Lennon Design. Whether it's strictly a website or a whole package of logo creation, advertising media, and promotional materials, Lennon Design is your partner in business. They'll test the boundaries of their imagination to create something unique for you. When you need creative, affordable design, let it be Lennon Design. Call 801-699-3022 or visit LennonDesign.com.
Here in the second half of articles of news, we do actual articles of news. Hit it, Peter.
Hit it, Peter.
You can't lose articles of news.
Did I just
All right, so
did I just steal your thunder?
no, so now you can do it. Now you can do
All
it.
right, so yeah, there are, as you know, in August we got a new general Sunday school presidency.
Mm-hmm.
May I highlight, we did not get a new general elders quorum presidency, but that's another soapbox for another time. And with that general presidency comes 9 new Sunday school general advisory council members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And some of these we've got some baby faces on the council here.
Yeah, I saw the pictures and I went, wait a minute. What?
Yeah. We got Sarah Acosta, who's 24.
Yep.
We got Caroline Ainsworth, who's 32, and even Isaac Rodriguez de Camargo is 22. I mean, did he have to come home from his mission early? This is fascinating. Then we have some older, maybe more mission president matured individuals, and got Fritz Karl Moreland,
who's 24. As well. You look at his picture though, and he doesn't look as 24 as Isaac looks as 22.
Yeah, he's going to grow into that general authority face very nicely. So now I think those are the young bucks.
Is this the first time we've ever had the young advisory people like that officially on a church calling? And how do you, because all of those young people that are on the board are attendees of the Brigham Young University, how are you able to walk around Brigham Young University in that calling? And I'm being sort of serious, although a joking tone certainly, is intonated in this whole thing, without being kind of a celebrity.
Right? I mean, can you imagine that, that asset as far as the dating game?
Yeah.
By the way, I know you used to date an elders quorum president, but
yeah, but and we all say that we're saying this sort of tongue in cheek, but it really is a
so
thing
true
by you.
It is.
Do you know? Have we ever had someone this young before? Some individual that young before?
When President, what's her name?
Freeman.
Freeman, thank you.
Yeah,
when she was called,
Uh-huh.
she called some younger, some ladies in their 20s to serve on the Young Women's General Advisory Council.
Okay.
So, but I don't think there is anywhere near 22, maybe 24, maybe some late 20s. But yeah, so there you have it.
I think it's incredible because the experience and perspective that these different people bring, we mentioned Isaac de Camargo, he's from Campinas, Brazil. And then you have the Sarah Acosta, who born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and then served a mission, or let's say, a bachelor's degree in linguistics.
Served a mission in Arizona, right?
Yeah. So, it's not people that are I grew up in the Geneva ward in Orem, and then I lived with my parents in Orem, and then I go to BYU and come from Orem, which there's nothing from Orem, but I like that we're getting experienced, in a world perspective, these people bringing it in.
Yeah. And I don't know, do you think that we're going to actually see evidence of their influence? Because Sunday school, at the end of the day, it's we're doing Doctrine and Covenants next year, then we're going to do Old Testament, right? We're doing the Come Follow Me thing. I wonder if we'll notice any influence there from this younger crowd in their council meetings.
I have to think so, or certainly I would hope so. I would hope that these people feel empowered to be able to be boring.
Let's change it all.
Honestly, because otherwise, what are they doing there? If they're in the meeting going, oh, yeah, yes manning or yes womaning the thing that's going on, there's not a point in them. And I hope that the church is being genuine and having them be a part of those boards. Right. If they're there, let them be there for a reason. I thought it was interesting, the unfortunately named Paul Walker being another one of the board members. Paul Walker, of course, also who was Mormon, who died in a car accident and was in the Fast and Furious.
I'm thinking, who is Paul Walker? It's
Yeah.
Paul Stephen Walker here. He'll probably use the middle name, or Paul S. Walker.
Yeah,
as we like to do.
Yeah, or P. Stephen Walker.
Oh
Probably,
yeah, that would be more appropriate.
yeah, probably won't
Yeah.
go that way.
Uh-huh. And
Um,
really, I mean, you think about it, Come Follow Me, we've been doing the Come Follow Me dance since 2018, right?
mhm,
I
mhm.
mean, if they completely went a different direction, I mean, I kind of feel like maybe we could try something else, but
Yeah.
anyways, we'll see. We'll
I
see.
have a serious question for you.
Oh boy. That's why I come
And I'm
on
being
the
serious.
culture hall through the This Week in Mormons.
I want to talk about this, and I want to change tone because this is actually a
Okay.
genuine question that I have. So I'm asking you to put on
I'm resetting, taking off
uh
my clown makeup.
yeah, whatever your thing is. But I have a genuine question. So this next news story, there is coming out of New Zealand a podcast called Heaven's Helpline, and it is about abuse in the LDS Church.
Hmm.
So now know that I'm genuinely
Well, you're really going there. Yeah.
I am switching the tone. And in this particular latest episode, it talks about um, a 10-year-old who was allegedly molested by an elder church member, a woman whose husband uh, sexually abused her younger sister, and then a church leader that investigated a missionary accused of rape and then dismissed the claim. So it is essentially, hey, there is these abuses going on, and this podcast host is looking into it and saying, hey, this is all these things that are going on. And so here's the question. I recognize that all of these things are alleged. And so that yes, it could be possible that none of these things had happened. But here, this is the discussion that I would be curious to have with you. So this is a media that's going out. We know that media can make up different things, and we can even go so far as to say fake news. That's not what I'm saying about this. But
Right.
the question that I have around this is, do you feel like as a church member that we have a responsibility to know about something like this, and or so many times when I will post something like this in a social media thread, like on the Culture Hall's Facebook page or something like that, people will interpret something challenging to the church as anti, or I'm not going to look into that because that isn't faith promoting. One of
Hmm.
the things that I have recently sort of struggled with as far as that goes is, yeah, but if it exists, if something like that is going on, say, for example, in New Zealand, or Utah or doesn't matter, but within the infrastructure of the church, don't I have a personal responsibility to first of all know about it because it's happening with other saints, not just other people, not just other God's children, but other saints that are in the same sort of form and structure as I am. Like, how do you navigate, Kurt Frankum, the
Yeah.
this goes on, and perhaps you should know about it, or the responsibility of people knowing about it, or the responsibility that maybe you could be a difference in your particular area and be able to engage in it and not just dismiss it as that isn't holy faith promoting. I'm not even going to look into whatever it is, right? I'm not asking
Right.
people to go, hey, digest a bunch of anti-material, but it could be that this is going on and that there are lessons to be learned.
Yes. Okay. So a few questions to lay the foundation here, that set the premise,
Yes,
because I
please.
would guess that this podcast, again, I haven't listened to anything. You talking about this is the first time I've ever heard it. So
Mhm.
I would guess it is making the argument or creating the premise that abuse is a systemic problem in our faith tradition. Is that fair to say? Did you get that impression from this?
I mean, I haven't listened, but that is
Uh-huh.
what that is. I anticipate myself listening to it to go, what is the claim that is being made here?
Right. Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I would want to be aware, because if the claim is it's systemic, are there things that I could learn, be aware of, be made known, hey, this is some things to kind of watch for, look for, etc. That would be my engagement with something like this.
Yeah. I think it's just in general, not just in the context of faith and worship. I mean, we should all be aware of some of the tactics of grooming and abuse and things like
Mhm.
that, so we can be aware of them when, like, whether it's at school, at work, at
Mhm.
church, or in our neighborhood, right? But I would guess, and I'd put money on it, this whoever's behind this podcast is trying to paint the picture that abuse is a systemic problem in our church because of the nature of how we're structured, or our lay ministry, or the way we do interviews with youth, or things like that. Which, if we're going there, that is complete nonsense. And are there like examples where it's gone sideways, or someone didn't, take certain steps? Sure, you're gonna find those, and typically those hit the media, right? But there are overwhelming example after example where definitely the church and the way it's structured and the way we develop youth and engage with children and help families is an enormous net positive that some of these claims are just ridiculous. So,
but let me ask you this: could
Yes.
both be true? Could we have a systemic problem in the way that there are things that continue to occur that if we learned about it, were educated, had maybe further trainings, that some of these things that continue to occur over and over? Because I get the idea from the very little that I've looked into this, that this is really recent. This isn't like in 1980 the church that this is in the last 5 years, these 3 different incidents. Could it be both we are net positive and there are systemic things that could be changed and could be better and be different?
Sure, and I'm open to that argument.
Yeah.
I've never heard a sustainable argument that systemically this is an issue. And if there's like, and again, you can fall into the trap of like, but even if it protects one child from abuse, like, okay, yeah, I mean, and we can go down the list of even if it protects one life, or what, I mean, that could become a enormous expense, and one that if we try to do that in every, context, it just wouldn't work. It's not a realistic argument that way. So, but yeah, I'm open to the argument. I just have never seen it. And I've seen so many examples on the other side where, positive mentorship has blessed the lives of millions, and these activities, these relationships, these, the way we structure our faith and our wards and our neighborhoods and things like that is huge net positive. So, but I'm open to the argument, right? If somebody, uncovers a group of 70 that were trafficking children, like, oh, okay, like, what are we doing here, right?
Man, that was not
I'm
at
just
all
saying,
what I was saying. Jeez, my gosh, what in the world?
But I'm just saying, like, show me the argument. But usually it's like, look at this outlier case and the mistakes, and then they want to project that on these mistakes happen every day in every instance and in every ward, and it's just this terrible, systemic thing. I just have never heard that argument.
Yeah, I'll be curious once I listen, because the thing that I see, at least from the little that I've engaged in it, is that it is well-intentioned leaders really messing up, right?
Oh yeah, right.
Like, hey, we're going to put you in the room with your abuser. Now you need to forgive him, because in the long scale of things, and it's like, yeah, okay, maybe in a premise that is like the thing that needs to occur, but it just seems like it's, we maybe have missed it. I'm going to listen to it. I'll report back to you, or certainly to folks in the cultural hall. Yeah, this is 100% what it was, but I'm fascinated to see that it's a whole series. It's a podcast series. Talking about like, hey, this is what it is. And each episode is sort of geared towards different things. Like the first one, as I understand it, is geared towards just the helpline that the church has. And then there's these different instances, in this particular episode that was highlighted is about bishops and their interactions.
Yeah.
So,
and I'll insert here, like, I mean, I'm literally the guy that's like dedicated his life to a ministry of helping church leaders, right? Like that's my main focus. So I'm front of the line as far as like, is there more training or resources or things that we could give to leaders in general? Like, absolutely. However, when I hear a lot of people just throw out like, oh, well, church leaders just need to be trained, as if a 4-week course about this or that's going to suddenly fix this. I mean, it's just more complicated than that. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely more resources that we can give to church leaders and members in general. So.
yeah. Other news stories that you potentially have? Anything?
What do I got here? How about have you ever taken a look inside the mind of Glenn Beck?
This is a news story?
Yes. Yes.
I met Glenn Beck.
Oh, tell the story.
We were at a radio conference, and this is genuinely 100% how I introduced myself to Glenn Beck. Hey, we wear the same underwear.
And what did he say?
He looked at me and I was like, yeah. And he's like, "Oh, hey, brother, nice to meet you," or something like that. It was very much like the tone of the meeting and like surroundings that we were in to be able to make that introduction. But that is how I introduced myself to Glenn
So
Beck.
what did you say it was in Utah when you had this?
No,
Like,
no, no, no. I
okay,
think we
so it
were
wasn't
in,
like a room full of Latter-day Saints.
no, no. It was a room full of radio people,
Okay.
and I said, we wear the same underwear, and it took
Nice.
him back a little bit, and then he was like, "Oh, garments, got it, sure." I'm a Mormon guy.
Oh man. So I have a Glenn Beck story too, but it's probably too long. But I'll give you the summarize. Uh, the summary of it is that I guess Glenn Beck wrote a book called Agenda 21. You can go to YouTube and he like made a movie trailer type of thing for this book, and I am in the movie trailer. Okay.
Shut up. Famous.
So what happened is I had a buddy who called me who was connected to this filmmaker who was hired to do this trailer, and he's like, "Hey, like my friend is looking for like some extras to come shoot this book trailer." I'm like, okay. Anyways, the short of it is we went downtown. He he hired a bunch of homeless people, this filmmaker,
Are
a
you
bunch
the
of
homeless
homeless
guy?
people. No. I'm like a communist soldier general guy in it. But
What
anyways,
in the world is
but
this garbage?
they hired literal like homeless people, like $5 and by the homeless shelter. And of course everybody's like, I'm game, we'll do this, right? To be in this, and you can see how they're portrayed anyways. And they ran out of $5 to give to the homeless people. So imagine making a promise to homeless people who, bless their hearts, are probably dealing with some level of mental illness, and then telling them, "Oh, we're out of $5." Anyways,
This, what is this? I'm watching this
are you
right
watching it?
now.
Yeah.
Oh my
Did
God.
you see me in it?
I
Yeah, we'll
haven't
link
seen I haven't seen you yet. Do you know
I'm in there to the
what-
front. I'm the leader of the
Okay.
communist guys.
why would you do something like
This was 11 years ago. Okay, we all got.
this?
I didn't know what I was getting into.
No, this is ridiculous. And you can tell
This-
this is just outside the road home, and then also at those apartments that they're refurbishing in downtown Salt
Yes,
Lake.
it is.
I'm looking for you. I still haven't seen you yet.
Well, come on. I'll show you. I'm at minute. Let's see.
It's only a minute and 39 seconds, so you couldn't
Okay.
be a minute
I'm
anything.
at the very first. They walk into the building.
Okay.
You know, these mean guys. That's my cousin, my buddy, who is checking the whatever. And then right there, I'm at 17, 16, 17 seconds.
Kurt, you should not be telling people that you're a part of this.
It was a paid gig, Richie.
No.
Okay, this is my acting career.
You took
Yeah.
$5 from a homeless person.
I did not. We went and got the money and got everybody $5. But but it was this awkward moment of like,
You
oh
say
no,
you're in this.
we are out.
That
Hey,
is
it's-
a much younger Kurt Frankum.
right.
You know,
Anyways,
Jeez.
young and naive, and Glenn Beck is. I mean, it's on his channel, but it's not like he was there and told him to do this. But anyways, back to the Desert News. Did a whole feature on Glenn Beck and showed his enormous ranch with beautiful walls and interior decorating and animals' heads on
Why
the
are we
walls.
talking about this? Because he's got
It's
a nice
political
house?
season. It's political season. They're talking about things like
No,
America's Last Exit. You know, the
I
tension in
reject
America.
your right wing talking points. Let's go to this for a second.
I'm
Something
just
we
saying
can
it's out
both
there.
something we can both get behind. The BYU. You love the BYU football.
Go Cougars.
As the recording of this, they are undefeated in the 2024
Mm-hmm.
season, which is incredible. They're going up against the UCF this weekend, as I understand it, and not favored to win by very much, like a
I
point.
know. Could
They
be
think
an
it's-
upset.
Yeah, could be an upset, or as I like to call it, this is why we don't have nice things. Former guest of the Cultural Hall, Education Commissioner of the LDS Church, Clark Gilbert, hopped into an interview with Wise. That's spelled the letter Y apostrophe S guy.
For Yale.
Yeah, he's like, it was weird. They were talking about
That's for
BYU
Yale,
on
yeah.
Yale, and essentially talked about athletics at BYU. And I thought that this was an interesting thing. Have you had an opportunity to either see the article or watch the video of him being interviewed? It's like 25 minutes
I
long.
did. I think it's longer than that. I listened to the entire podcast episode of Clark Gilbert being interviewed. I've met Elder Gilbert. He's fantastic. He's a
Okay.
great guy, fun to learn from, and very dynamic.
He's a Harvard trained individual. The thing
Former guest of the Culture Hall.
yeah, former guest of Cultural Hall. Here's what I had a hard time with about him and what I have a hard time with other people.
Okay.
You know how you're like, hey, Kurt, we joke around, and then you're able to joke around about getting stacks at an IHOP, and that I like you because you're able to do that.
Mhm.
I tried to like bust that down a little bit with Clark Gilbert,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he's just not able to do it, or wasn't able to do it with me, or did not feel comfortable to do it with me. And it's the equivalent within Mormonism. I want to have a leader of a guy I can get a root beer with. And I
Right.
just
Yeah.
when you can't break that down with me, I'm immediately turned off.
Mm-hmm. It's
Because I
tough.
just go, no, I know you have to, there has to be another side of you. You have to be a fun person, don't you? Aren't,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
isn't there
Mm-hmm.
something?
Mm-hmm.
But
It's
he
sort of
talked,
like that. You remember that term quiet dignity they used to throw around at the MTC,
yes,
right? It's
yes,
sort of the quiet dignity
yeah,
grown wild, right?
yes.
Uh, and again, I've met Elder Gilbert, and to me, like I've met him in more informal settings, and he is very jovial, very easy to connect with. And in this one, they talk sports, and so he lets his hair down a little bit. I felt like, but it is like we did. This is part of the general culture that we try and talk about and address to some extent through leading saints is
Mhm.
that how do you be that leader? Because there's that pressure. I don't know if I mentioned Richie, but I've been a bishop.
Oh
So
no, you
yeah,
have?
yeah,
Oh my gosh,
actually,
you're so
and
young.
later in a
How were
stake
you able to do
presidency.
that? Oh my
So
gosh, you
yeah.
were?
Anyways, but when you're called to these, there is this temptation of sort of like just buttoning up, right, and being like, I'm going to disappear into the cookie cutter that has been offered me, and they'll give me the suit, and I can just disappear, and it's
Right,
great, and I can just be
right.
someone else, and people love me and respect me, and but you really got to push through that, and in fact, it stimulates great leadership and connection and relationship, and it's better all around. But you're right, like these general authorities, they have a tough gig, and they interface with so many people, and they want to represent the church, the best they can, and again, maybe that's just how they are, right? Maybe they are a little plain or not as dynamic in their life experience. I don't know. I have the utmost respect for all of them, but
What
I
what
get
I
what you're saying,
what I want is I want a leader who will do a stick pull with me. You know what I'm saying? Let's feet to
right?
feet. Let's feet to feet stick pull. That's what I'm after.
Someone we can call Brother Joe, or
Yeah,
Brother Joseph,
yeah.
and just
And
hang out.
maybe that individual has to do a little repenting for being a little light-minded, but I would much rather that than the anyway. So Education Commissioner Clark Gilbert talking about how BYU, they're trying to lean into um, the distinct differences that BYU are or contains is, that the university stands for when they get recruits, and that the idea was because this is if you've lived in Utah or you follow BYU sports quite a bit, the contention is always if you guys would loosen up a little bit, you could get better players that could make you more nationally competitive. And
Hmm.
then the reverse side of the coin is if you really button up on the qualifications, you'll have really great, um, you know, like faith experiences and all of these things, but you lose some of the talent that doesn't want to be around that. And he has basically said, hey, if it comes down to it, we'll give up sports in the name of having the university be affiliated with our mission,
Right.
with our design, because we can't justify not only the money spent, but within our own religious beliefs, the idea of loosening those things. And I don't think
Yeah.
that's a surprise to anyone. Um, but I do think there was a couple things that were said that I found to be pretty profound. He goes back to almost like President Hinckley's good, better, best when he's talking about recruits for BYU. Good, Elder Gilbert said, is when the recruit understands the honor code and signs up to comply with it. Better is when an athlete can see BYU as a place to play without distractions, making the honor code a competitive advantage. And best is aligning with players who believe in what BYU stands for. I
Hmm.
thought that was an interesting thing. BYU aims to win with integrity, but not at all costs. and that the First Presidency is actively involved in ensuring BYU athletics remain aligned with the faith. I think that at least for the time being, certainly because we do go in phases within the church, can put to rest any sort of idea that the loosening of restrictions at BYU is going to be something that they'll do in the name of sport.
So would you say they're a little bit too rigid right now with this approach, or is that
No,
what you're
I
saying? Or
mean,
you're just
no. I just think it's an interesting commentary where,
yeah.
sometimes people will be like, hey, we're in a, and I definitely think at BYU and within the education system, and certainly since Elder Gilbert has come in, we are at a tightening. We're in a season of tightening under Elder Gilbert. That it is, the professorship at BYU, not in association with athletics, but just in general, a tightening of, make sure that we're all on the doctrine ship, you know,
Right.
the changes at BYU that you have to be a Temple recommend holder. It hasn't always been the case for like staff employees and stuff like that. And now new hires, they have to have that. Those that in different disciplines, they have let some certifications within disciplines go because that means that they would have to be open or be able to discuss other things. And they've said, we don't want to discuss other things within that discipline. We are fine without the certification. We'll go ahead and go that. We're definitely in a time of like tightening. Hey, this is what we stand for and who we are. And I think that we'll go naturally through a loosening under a different leadership.
Yeah, and I'd also say there's maybe been some positive adjustments with like I don't know the details or remember them, but I remember like with hairstyles of different cultural or ethnic backgrounds with
Sure.
hair and things and even now you look at some of the BYU players, longer hair is hanging out of the end of many of those helmets and things like that. Also, I want to say what was the other one? Just the like when usually there every few years you'd hear about an athlete who maybe broke the honor code and
Sure.
is suspended, and I think they've done a better job of keeping those private things private and personal things personal, and handling it behind the scenes in a way that doesn't make it a media spectacle or like suddenly the star running back is off the team and what do
Sure.
you do and why and
Yeah.
so hopefully some good adjustments are happening like that at the same time of like we want to be very clear about our vision and our
Sure.
direction, which I think they strike a pretty good balance with that. But
And a perfect example of this is Jake Retzlaff, the quarterback for BYU. Like there couldn't be a more BYU quarterback than this guy, who's not a member of the church. One of
Right.
three Jewish people, one, two, three, count them, that attend BYU, finding it and thriving in that environment. And I think that's 100% what Elder Gilbert would say is not only talented individuals who can play their particular thing, but like they are embracing, and Jake is embracing what the university is and thriving in that. Yeah.
Yeah,
With the
thriving on the
unfortunate
football
nickname
field.
of BYU. I still am so uncomfortable with that. At any time I saw a uniform that said BYU, and I like, if you don't know, it seems so
Right.
uncomfortable.
Even I don't know, even for me, like I mean, obviously the Jewish history is just so sensitive and so traumatic that
Yes.
like even talking about the Jewish people, like, even when you say like, well, the Jews think A, B, and C, or the Jews have this
Yes.
tradition, you're like, I don't know, did I say that right? I think
Yeah.
did I step on something?
I love Jews. And then you're like, oh no, what is he saying? Yeah. I just like any sort of thing like that.
Right.
It's clever.
Just steer
He's
clear.
embraced it. It's fine. I love that he wears a Star of David. I think that that's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good stuff. Very good stuff.
And for a lot of people, I hope that they are embracing it in a way that they can learn and not trying to be like, hey, I'm sure that there is these
Right.
instances of people just stepping in it well-intentioned and just messing up. But I hope that, those around Jake are able to be like, hey, good for you.
Right.
How hard that would be to be here in this way, to show up this way, and you're just an awesome individual. Good for you. I hope that resonates with his time with being with us.
But he'll get the Heisman Trophy and a national championship, and
Sure.
so it'll all be worth it. So
Sure. Well, yeah, if that happens, geez.
Hey, do you know that the First Presidency was hanging out with someone this week, Richie?
Tell me.
The
Tell
First
me.
Presidency of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints welcomed Her Excellency Lianis Torres Rivera. I don't know if
Perfectly said.
She's from Cuba,
Uh-huh.
and on October 15th. The visit aimed to strengthen relationships between the church and Cuban government.
Okay.
The delegation toured church facilities and will visit BYU, highlighting the church's humanitarian, educational, and missionary efforts. The engagement follows a similar visit in 2019, underscoring the church's commitment to international cooperation. The article also notes the church's growth in Cuba since 2004, with 5 congregations established by 2023, and mentions Elder Soares' historic visit to Cuba in 2022. So are we going to get some Alpine, Utah youth that are getting called to the Cuba mission, Richie? This is cool.
I mean, eventually, but I have to feel like they'd have to, the whole communism thing would probably have to.
A few more people have to die.
Yeah.
Maybe a revolution or two.
There has to be, maybe a little change as far as that goes.
I can just hear like President Oaks in the meeting, like, so there's that communism thing. Like,
yeah.
Love the progress we're making, but
although, 5 congregations is an island, is President Nelson like, should we put Cuba as a temple destination for I'm being serious.
Yeah. That'd be cool. I wouldn't be shocked, right?
You have a temple in Haiti, and then the DR, which isn't too far necessarily, right. But it is an island, and for those saints that would be there, would be a tremendous blessing. That would be incredible. I'm gonna bookmark that in the back of the head.
Next conference predictions.
It's who the church visits with and where they go that denotes where a temple is going to be. So Cuba. Are you listening to that, Mr. the Pharaoh, Corey K. Ward? Cuba.
That's right. And what President Nelson has announced a temple in communist China, which is kind of
it's stalled out.
Stalled out. But hey, maybe his last effort is hey, Cuba, I'm out.
Yeah.
We're going for it. I don't know how.
He just goes big in every communist or
That's right.
We're going Cuba.
Putin's backyard. Where else?
This was interesting. This is now a couple weeks old. But I hadn't mentioned it here. I know that you guys had on yours, but real quick, Ruthie Ann Miles is going to be the musical guest for the Tabernacle Choir Christmas concert. If you have not put in for the lottery, you still can. If you want to try and get in on those tickets, it's the ticket to get. You have until the 1st of November to get in on that. You can go to thetabernaclechoir.org/Christmas concert 2024. Get registered, and then they'll notify you if you'll be able to get that. Ruthie Ann Miles, known for The King and I. She won a Tony Award, nominated for a Grammy and Olivier Award as well. Very, very talented, but no James Taylor. That's what I denoted.
Maybe next year.
Or Muppets.
Go, Richie? Do you usually attend?
I went to, was it last year? A couple years ago? The woman from the islands that was a Disney person as well. I went to that one.
Oh, okay.
That was within the last couple of years.
Nice. I try and go every year. They're phenomenal.
Sure. Sure. I think they're great. I think the key is, but you don't get the whole thing. The music and the spoken word this Sunday, if you're not able to go to the actual concert, because they do it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, but then they do like an abbreviated on the music and the spoken word Sunday morning. I think that's the key.
That's the key.
Yeah, because otherwise it's 2 or 3 hours, and you're like, geez, do I care this much? But like a good,
I don't think it's
solid,
2 or 3 hours, but
it's 2 hours.
At least 2 hours. Yeah,
it's at least 2 hours. So you get a good 45-minute version. You hit the highlights.
Yeah. They mix it up. They got the organ solo. They got the guy that comes out and reads the story, and there's turns into a play for a minute, and I rarely get bored. Okay. Yeah, and I did go to the King Singers when they came. I was terribly bored the whole time. It was terrible.
Yeah,
but So
this brings me up into an interesting thing. I think we talked about this, you and I, in a personal call. But I listened to the Leading Saints, Your Other Property. I would say your firstborn, if you will.
That's right.
As you give it priority.
It has the birthright.
Yeah, the birthright. Which, anyway. I was talking about Stake President. So my stake center has an old organ. An organ that's like an organ, not like
with pipes.
Yeah, pipes, the whole thing. And I don't know the history. In fact, I should look into this a little bit more. But sometime at some point in like my stake, there was an amazing organist who taught lots of young people how to play the organ, and most of those people have stayed in the area and are in the
Wow.
various wards. And so, like our organist, we have people fighting to be our ward organist because
Wow.
I'm not
There's
joking.
a unique problem.
Yeah, because um, we used to be in this stake center building. Now we're in the newer building, not as great organ, whatever, but they still are great. It's amazing performances. All to say, went up to the stake president the other day. This is the warning, and I said, "Hey, Christmas is coming." He said, "I'm aware," and I said, "We've got our church because the church made that change and said." The meeting either the Sunday before or the Sunday after is our church, as in 1 hour, not as in it belongs to us. That will be in perpetuity. It will always the leadership gets to decide whether it's the Sunday before or the Sunday after is the 1 hour. Invite all your Christian friends to come out to the church meeting. And I said, let's make a big deal of this. We got this beautiful organ, and I feel like we hit and missed last year with our meeting that my wife came to that is not a member of the church. Let's make this a beautiful spectacle. And then
Yeah.
as I was talking to him, because I know the next thing that he was going to ask me, I said, these are just suggestions. I'm not interested in heading this up at all. I just think
The
we should pay
Dodge.
attention to this. Dodge out.
Nice. And so what are the chances this happens, Richie?
Well, this is a warning to the greater good. This is a time when this releases, people are able to hear this. This gives you ample enough time to prepare a great message. Now, I don't think it's a thing that we go, church is like this every week, but I do think that we can deliver a strong, Christ-centered Christmas message, that we have the person who's a really good speaker, that we have
Mhm.
a couple really great musical numbers, that we allow some planning in particular for this message, because there are, I don't know the percentage, maybe you do, that many more people who attend Christmas and Easter services because they feel the draw, the connection, the whatever it is. I think it's a swing and a miss when we don't make it a bigger deal. I understand why people don't want to make it a bigger deal, but I just don't agree with it. I think those people are wrong.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm on board with you there. And if your stake does something like that, I may sneak away and join your ward that week.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Even
bet.
just playing the organ more.
Right. Yeah.
Because like I think we sang like 3 Christmas songs, and I was like, I like that we're singing. This is not the thing. And I like that
Love it.
it was not the thing. And then we had like a 30-minute talk from this guy who the information was so good. And I'm not, if he hears this, your talk was so good. Your delivery was so dry, pal. It was so dry. It was such great information. But if he would have just said, "Hey, I wrote this, deliver this," I almost wish it would have been something like that. Like,
Right.
this great information will be written by so and so and delivered by other guy. Thank you for coming to this meeting.
Right. Quick coaching session from Richie, and it would have been.
Yeah,
nailed it.
just make it a little bit.
I love it. I love
What
it.
else?
We
What
actually
else you
did
got?
an episode on leading saints about this guy in North Carolina, a bishop who just really took a new focus on sacrament meeting and rallied his ward council and his entire ward around it. I can link to it. And one thing they do is in December they do kind of a special Christmas sacrament meeting every Sunday in December, and it's nothing like outrageous or overburdening or anything. But
Sure.
he says it's and they invite you're in North Carolina. You think you can find a phenomenal church choir in a Baptist church down the street? Yeah. So they invite them to come sing.
That's incredible.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
So things like that, I think, we could really get unique and make it a rallying point for the community to worship Christ and be that center point. So love it.
This is Christ adjacent, but there is an Islamic center in my stake boundaries.
Oh,
And I feel like I know, because I've spoken with my stake president again, because I'm sure
Because you go to lunch once a week.
I'm sure he sees me and just like diverts eyes and he's like, here we go.
No.
I'm not joking. I was like, hey, can we do something about like not watering lawn that we never use? Like that was one of our meetings together.
Right.
He's like, yeah, answering the temple recommend question. And I'm like, hold on, can we maybe zero-scape some things? Like that's the kind of conversation that. But I know that he knows the leader of this Islamic Center. But as a stake, unless I'm ignorant, we have never done anything partnering alongside this Islamic Center. And here's the thing that is even just like, take a second and breathe this in. The Islamic Center is an old LDS tabernacle. That's
Whoa.
purchased it, and that's where they have their entire like meeting and community. It makes so much sense. Why have we not run adjacent to it? Once a year, once every 2 years. I've been here 3 years. Why have we not done a thing to say, hey, faith in general community, let's do this? I don't understand.
You put a quarter in Richie, you get $1.50 back. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are there any
The
major
Church of
stories we need to
Jesus
hit
Christ
on?
of
Or?
Latter-day Saints, and I'm like, yeah. Hold on. Can we get? It is. Can we get some pictures in this hallway? There's not a single picture. If I'm looking for a picture of Christ in this chapel, I don't see Jesus for 35 steps, and he laughs like you're laughing. But
Pat your head.
Yeah.
It says, move along, brother.
Here's the deal, though. Whether it was because of me or maybe a church instituted thing, they did Zeroscape part of the
Boom.
Stake Center. So I take that as
Who's the real leader in your area now?
boom, bottom up, baby. You were asking if there were some other stories. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean anything that we definitely got to hit before we wrap up. I don't even know. You're driving the ship, so I don't even know what minute we're at, or
Yeah,
are we at 3 hours. I don't know.
I don't much care about time. I just like being with you. You're my only friend, so there's that.
Big podcast hug to you, my friend.
There is. Let's do some quicks. Quick things. There is coming out this weekend. Mormon Mom Gone Wrong, the Ruby Frankie story.
Oh, okay.
Is
it the book?
No, that's the other part of this. Thank you for queuing that up.
Yeah.
This is a dramatized account of the shocking criminal case involving Frankie, a mother of 6, a former family vlogger, and her life counselor, Jodi Hildebrandt. Here's what's interesting. Emily Ullerup plays Ruby, and Heather Locklear is Hildebrandt.
Heather Locklear.
Yeah.
Hubba, right?
Yeah. Playing Jodi Hildebrandt, that sex magnet Jodi Hildebrandt. No shame, but
Oh my goodness.
I just
There's the title of the episode, folks. That sex magnet.
Jodi Hildebrandt. I'll make it that.
Oh, boy.
That might be inappropriate. And then Sherry Frankie, or Shari, I think maybe is how you say it. Her daughter, that is Ruby Frankie's daughter, writing a memoir about her time. The name of the book is The House of My Mother, A Daughter's Quest for Freedom. That comes out in early January. She's already been contacted by the Cultural Hall for an interview. You'll remember Shari is the one who, when the picture of the police outside of the home of the Frankies, she said something like finally or at last or whatever the thing is. So it'll be interesting to hear her story. She a BYU student at this time.
Nice.
Yeah, or just barely graduated. That's what her profile says. So I'm excited to be able to have that. I thought this was interesting, and I'm going to give you an assignment while I talk about this. I know from my listening to This Week in Mormons that Boise is going to get a giving machine.
That's right.
That's neat. I want you to look up some of the other places that might be worth noting. But this was a story that I thought was absolutely awesome. I can't believe we wouldn't talk about it. Kenya is getting a giving machine.
Ooh.
Nairobi, Kenya, at the Sarit Mall. There will be a giving machine that will be there from the 30th of November until January 15th. And it will benefit the Kenyan Red Cross, UNICEF, Church World Service, just 3 of the 6 NGOs that will be benefiting from the giving machine in Kenya.
Wow. Well, they have like literal goats behind it where it's like, you just bought a goat and here it is. Like, go take it to that family.
And the goat's like, freedom. And then it's like, oh, wait, what are we going to? No, freedom.
Your goat impression is impeccable, Richie.
Thank you.
You missed your calling. A quick one I have here is Elder Neil L. Anderson dedicates the Salvador, Brazil temple. Sorry, the Pharaoh, I'm still in your thunder. This is $199. $199. Yeah,
Salvador.
that's right.
And as we get towards the Deseret Peak. Deseret Peak? Is that what it is?
Yeah, Desert
Yeah,
Peak.
Deseret Peak. Yeah. For some reason,
Yeah.
when I said that out loud, it didn't seem right.
Was it?
Uh,
I want to say, was it your podcast? I don't know if you co-hosted this, but like someone said, why are they naming it Desert Peak? Well, because that's a literal name of a peak in
Yeah.
Tooele Valley. So
And that's not actually why they're calling it Deseret Peak.
why would they?
Because Tooele is too
Oh,
hard
Tooele
for
is
people
impossible to
yeah,
pronounce or spell. Yeah.
yeah,
Mhm.
1,000%. That's why they're
Sure.
calling it that.
Yeah, that's fair.
And
But
why
I mean,
you do that in some places and not others, I don't know.
but this is the same church that named it Ochre Mountain Temple. So
Yeah.
I don't think spelling necessarily goes into the final say, but you're right. It is easier to spell.
Yeah, yeah. And that's number 200 as projected in a Cultural Hall episode. I don't want to beat my chest against them about that. The fact that they would Jimmy rig it so that
Oh yeah.
that
in
200
Utah?
would be one that we could get to closer and make a bigger deal of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. Well, President Nelson I want him front and center in that white suit, sitting in a wheelchair, just beaming and just loving it. He deserves it. He's done.
Well,
I just appreciate his leadership.
1,000%. It should
Yeah.
be. It should be that
Absolutely.
way
Mhm.
for a worldwide church to make sure that the one that's focused on is in Utah. Yes, it
on,
should
Richie.
be that way.
Come on.
Oh, hold on.
Okay.
Save your mission memories before they're deleted forever. To prevent a
Ooh.
loss of photos, emails, and data from church Google accounts, Ryan Zimbauer is helping.
Is this an ad?
No, this is a real thing. He's helping fellow return missionaries take proactive measures. He's helping return missionaries on BYU campus save memories before they get deleted forever. It's a need that's not being met, and it feels like it has spiritual value. He promotes his service on BYU campus. He's got a QR code. You can scan it, and you can be able to move all of your emails and things like that to a way that you don't lose them forever. Because missionaries, this was not in the time when I served, because I only got to talk to my family 2 times a year.
So
They
this
have
is
30
like
gigabytes of
recording the phone
storage.
calls?
They have 30 gigabytes of storage in their emails,
Not
and they're
nearly
able
as
to
much.
send those photos. But what happens is that when they get home, the church says, you got 90 days to get this stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't
it.
realize this.
Yeah.
Oh my
And so
goodness.
he's helping. Don't lose the memories. And actually, I'm
Oh.
making light of this, but I think it actually is.
That's a valuable service.
Yes. Because can you imagine your entire mission communication just gone? 91
Right.
days. Sorry, you're out. Every single picture I had gone. So yeah,
Nice.
a little word to the return missionaries.
A big shout out to Ensign College, who I am a former adjunct professor at Ensign.
Wow.
Did I mention I was also a bishop? I don't know.
No, I did not know that.
But Ensign College marks 6th consecutive semester of growth in enrollment. Let me tell you something.
Yes.
Ensign College is the real deal. Like if my kid comes up to me in high school and says, "Dad, I want to go to college," I'd be like, "I don't know, son, daughter. I regret that decision in my life." But they said, "No, I really want to." I say, "Okay, start with Ensign College because it really is phenomenal."
So I want to just highlight something that you just said that I know you didn't realize that you just said,
What did I say?
but you could not have given a more Utah endorsement for Ensign College because you called it the real deal.
The real deal. And did I say Ensign?
It wasn't.
Did I call it Ensign College?
It wasn't that emphasized, but you did say it's the real deal.
It's the
Not
real deal.
Real deal.
Hey man, I embrace my upbringing, my culture.
Okay.
I am full Utahn and I'm proud of it. Okay.
Okay.
I go to
Listen.
Ensign College. Okay.
That actually gives a perfect segue for the end of this, and I think that this is amazing. We started talking about BYU football, BYU sports. One of the things that I think is just amazing that BYU is doing, under the guidance of head coach Kalani Sitake, football players are mentoring BYU Pathway Worldwide students and
Ooh, I like
fostering
it.
global connections. Do you know about this?
I don't.
Yeah. So BYU Pathway Worldwide, for people who don't know, it's the spiritually based educational initiative sponsored by the church. It allows higher education accessible to individuals everywhere. And there are 65,000 students in all 50 states and in over 180 countries that participate in it. The opportunity to serve, Coach Sitake said, "Hey, let's do this. I want to have my football players be involved in it. In early August 24, the team organized a Zoom call with BYU Pathway students in Africa, anticipating around 75 participants. They were thrilled when hundreds more participated. Technology allowed only for 300 to join, but it was BYU players being able to mentor these students in Africa. And I just, for all the things that, maybe I threw some shade or whatever, the fact that BYU, when they play away games, goes and does service in the community of the away town that they're going to be playing in, huge.
Huge.
The standards that they're able to keep the players to and that they stand for, and that they're it's awesome. So before we get all the hate and all that stuff, I just want to say I think it's tremendous. It's an amazing job, and this is just yet another
Cougar first down.
Yeah.
No.
Dun, 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 dun.
That's another Cougar first down. Yep, it is.
Yeah, I think it's just cool. Just cool.
Awesome.
That's it.
Well, I'd love for the audience. I'm curious to survey the audience. If you love the Richie Kurt dynamic here, it sounds like you need some co-hosts over there, Richie. I'm happy to come on, bring my This Week in Mormon World anytime, sit down and discuss the news. We can call it This Week in the Culture Hall. Okay.
You want it. You want it too bad. You seem desperate.
Okay, I am desperate.
You seem desperate. I love you.
You can contact me at contact@thisweekinmormons.
Sure.
And let me know what you think. Do you like Richie on the This Week in Mormons feed, or does he just need to stay at his own backyard?
Sure. And you can contact me at contact@theculturalhall.com. There's a reason why those are similar, but we could talk about that a different time. I hope that this episode has nourished and strengthened your body, Kurt, and that if you're not healthy enough to listen this week, that you'll be healthy enough to listen next week, and that when the time comes, you'll be able to travel home in safety. In the meantime, Chris at Alpine Lakes Travel, Rick McGee, Debbie Wanless, Chocolate Cake Bites Podcast, and the Tiger with a U will be saving a seat for you
on the back row
of the Cultural Hall
Week in Mormons. And This Week in Mormons.
Save me a seat, it's sure to be neat on the back row. We really gotta go on the Culture Hall show.